Hi, it's Corey Erhardt here with Martin Deerline Product Support. Today we're going to talk about collecting accurate yield data on the combines. Many of you now are collecting yield data for your records at home and planning for next year's crop. So I'm going to run through a few steps here to make sure that the combine's cleaned out and accurate and calibrated, ready to collect that accurate yield data. We're going to run in basically in these steps that I do here, so please follow these steps in order. One of the first things we're going to do is clean our moisture sensor. So a couple of things, we're going to pull our return auger out, make sure it's cleaned out. And then the second thing we're going to do is remove the moisture meter plate and make sure it's clean and clean it with glass cleaner. The next thing we want to do is make sure our mass flow sensor is cleaned and going to be calibrated properly. So what we're going to do is we're going to crawl in the grain tank where I am right now. We're going to bring our loading auger down to open up the housing here to check our mass flow sensor. Okay, the next step we want to do is we want to make sure we calibrate our moisture sensor temperature. We want to go into the calibration menu on the combine and then go into moisture sensor temperature calibration. In there you're going to see the temperature of the moisture sensor. We want to make sure we compare it to the ambient temperature outside and then go in and make changes accordingly. If we're out by 2 degrees, we need to go higher. We'll enter, say, a +2. If it needs to be lower, we can enter a -2 and then hit save and save that calibration value. Now, the next step we want to do is our mass flow calibration. This is performed with the header on the combine. We want to make sure the header is up off the ground, not touching the ground, and then we're going to engage our separator and header, bring our engine up to full RPM and hit the calibration button, and then the combine will calibrate for a minute. So basically what it's doing is feeling the vibrations of the combine empty and calibrating that mass flow sensor to the vibrations of the combine to be accurate. The next step we want to do is to make sure our header width is accurate in there by going into the header page, checking our header width and make sure it's the exact cut we're taking. If we're doing 40 feet or if we're doing 39.5 feet, make sure we've entered the correct width. Make sure we've got the recording height set. So on that same page that we're in, we can make sure the recording is set proper. When we lower our header to the ground, that our work switch has come on and recording data. When we lift it up at the end to turn, that our header switch is turning our recording switch off. Okay, the next thing we want to do once we've got everything set up, we want to basically start combining, and we're going to combine at least one hopper full, grain tank load full, and then take samples from that and take that to our trusted moisture sensor, and whether it's at the elevator or whether it's at home, and compare the readings, and then compare the readings to the combine, what it was showing. And if we need to make adjustments, we can make adjustments by just going in and changing our correction by either going to a positive. If we need to go higher, we do a positive number. If we need to go lower, we can do a negative number. And one of the last steps we're going to do is to make sure our yield calibration is ready to go. So as this 780 behind me has active yield, make sure the active yield switch is turned on. If we've got an older S-Series combine without active yield, this is where we can start our process in the field, where we can start doing manual calibrations of 3 to 5 loads into the truck and then weighing the truck and getting the loads back, the weights back to the combine. For any questions on this or any other optimization tips, please call your local Martin Deerline store.